All right, guys, so the time has come. I have finished the EJPT course here. It's approximately 148 hours worth of content, four sections, 12 courses, 229 videos, 153 quizzes, and 121 labs. And I can tell you right now, this is completely true. You will probably spend 120 hours because some of the content repeats. And the reason being is they're trying to have you learn through repetition. They're also having you attack these machines with different attack vectors. But it's great content. If you play at 2 times speed, you'll be able to get through it just a little bit quicker. That's what I did. On top of that, I have my OneNote here, and during the whole period of time, I had created my notes. And let me just show you what those look like. So here's all my notes, and from the first module all the way to the last module, I had detailed notes for every one of the labs I did and sections. So I'm able to say, okay, active port scanning with InMap. That was one section, and these are all the videos for that one section, right? So if I go to that section, why don't we go to the first one here? So you can take a look at it. So first we have the INE course passive recon. All right, so let me scroll through here, and you can see the first module here is assessment methodology. I love this. They teach you the penetration testing methodology, and that's something you're not going to get with TryHackMe. I did TryHackMe. I did the basics, um, the beginner one, the red teaming, the junior penetration tester, the offensive security course. I did all of those. I think those are really great. You could start there and then come over here. But if I had this knowledge to begin with, it would have made TryHackMe a lot easier. Okay. And lately I've been doing boxes, and I've been able to get pretty far into those boxes on my own just from this course. You know, that's how much knowledge I've gained from this. It teaches me like a structured way of attacking these machines that I just didn't have before, right? And a big portion of that is, of course, enumeration, right? So if we go here and we click on this first module, that's 5 hours long. To be honest with you, you could probably finish this in 3 if you play at 2 times speed. And if you click here, it says introduction. So introduction to the course, introduction to information gathering. So there's an introduction to that. And then you can see here if I scroll up, it's for me, right? Yeah. You can see I have my course passive recon, who is enumeration. I believe they had modules on this, so it's probably here. Oh, here it is, passive information gathering, right? So passive recon here. Yeah, some Google Dorks, and then you can see I have my notes for DNS enumeration, Google Dorks, everything I learned, I had created notes for. You can see I just took snapshots of the different type of Google Dorks you can use. And this is all going to be very useful for when I take my exam, which hoping is today. So we'll scroll through this and let me turn back to the main screen. And if you wonder, like, what does this course look like? What's the material like? So let's take a look at it. So we have the web recon fingerprinting, right? And I don't know if I'm at web. No, let me pause that. Web recon, DNS enumeration, web firewalls. Let's do a different one. Let's do who is enumeration, right? So first of all, it has this disclaimer. I'm not going to show this entire course because according to this disclaimer, you're not supposed to do that. So we're just going to like chop it up a little bit. I'm just going to like highlight key aspects of this video. This is not advertising. I would not advertise something that I did not personally believe in, right? I'm a huge person when it comes to like only showing people something that I've done personally and that I can recommend. So for all my course material, you'll see I have videos on CCNA, CAS, Plus. I've done all of that. I've taken those. I passed them. and I could recommend what to do in order to accomplish those, right? Next is going to be CISSP, which I'm gonna be doing the unboxing of my CISSP and then going through the videos for that. So yeah, let's go in and take a look at my notes first here because this is where I want you to start. Let's say you sign up for this course. All right, you pull up your OneNote, you go to who is enumeration, you create a little page, you take screenshots of how you're going to do a who is enumeration, what you're going to be looking for, zone transfers enabled. That's something I would be really interested in. And then we're going to listen to the course instructor, which is Alex, and he has a YouTube channel actually. So you can go check out his YouTube channel to see how he teaches. I like it. I think it's great. First, he has some slide decks to go through. Sometimes he does. This one, it doesn't look like he does, so he just goes straight into who is and how you're going to look for, whether or not you do DNS transfer, check out the information, registration information for the site, and then the different other sites you can actually go to for that information. I'm just clicking through it, kind of explaining what you're going to be seeing. This is a 7-minute video. A lot of them are under 10 minutes. Some of them are over 30 minutes, but I don't see any videos that are usually more than an hour. They keep the video short enough that your attention span is able to grasp the concepts. Then you have a test afterwards, and let me show you the test. So this is the question, and I could say start quiz, and then it'll ask you like the who is lookup utility can be used to identify the name server of a particular domain. Yes. Next. And then you pass it, right? And it's only one question. So when they say they have a bunch of quizzes, yes, they do, but most of the quizzes are only one question. And this may be something that you see on your exam. Apparently, you might have like some quiz questions, and we'll go over that more because I'm actually reading this as a prereq to taking my exam, which I hope to take shortly. Whether or not I pass it, it doesn't matter because I learned a lot. And, I was listening to IPSEC yesterday. I was reading through one of his blogs, and he says, the piece of paper is one thing, but what you learn in pursuit of that piece of paper is the ultimate goal, right? So if I don't pass it, it's fine. I actually have a second attempt. But after completing this many hours of work, I'd hope that I can pass that. Maybe do an after video if I pass it or not. All right, so here we go. We've got a few other sections. You can see some of them are more meatier than others, like this one. It's about 5 hours, 3 hours, 12 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours. So you can quickly finish this one, right? And then you have this one right here is 20 hours. So doing that one module can take a week or two, maybe 3 weeks. You got this one that takes 4 hours, 39 hours. This one took me the longest. It was a lot of, my God, that's a whole week's worth of work, man. That's like 8 hours a day, right? And I'm not just sitting here chilling. I have a job. I have a full-time job actually. So I'm doing this when I get out of work. And it's kind of painful coming home, having to do this is, and you want to get this knocked out because this subscription's kind of expensive. I'm not gonna lie. You're paying like $40 a month for this INE subscription, unless you do the annual subscription, which I end up purchasing, which is $300 because the annual subscription is great only because they give you 2 EJPT vouchers. You fail the EJPT, you can retake it again. Also, you have access to all the fundamental material. And so if you go here to learning for cybersecurity, let's see, they have the penetration testing professional. So this is the next certification up to the, after the EJPT. It's 83 hours, which is less than, the 148 hours I did for the EJPT. But this one right here, I can't access it actually, because the annual subscription that I'm paying for only gives me access to the fundamental concepts, to the fundamental. So if I click access, it won't let me. It makes me upgrade, right? So if I click access, because I have the fundamental annual subscription, I would need the premium subscription. And I'm not going to drop $749 for that. That's too much. You know, I would rather spend that on the OSCP and their Pen 200 course. So that's not happening. Maybe in the future. So let me go back to, let's focus back on the EJPT, right? So do I recommend it? Hold on. Do I recommend spending, you know, that much money? You know, let me take a look. So let's do the math in our heads real quick. Right? I could also break out a calculator. So $300 isn't a bad deal if you plan on taking the CCNA and the EJPT, right? Personally, this is what I did. I only did it because it gives you a second voucher in case you fail. It also gives you that year subscription to fundamental courses. And there's not a whole lot of fundamental courses, actually. There's actually not. So that's kind of an issue. Okay. I don't recommend the premium. I don't recommend this. And no, I don't. I just don't. You know, no offense to any, but you know, your certification isn't exactly like the industry standard. It's not the gold standard like the OSCP. There's far cheaper content out there, and I just can't justify spending this much. Although once I have the OSCP and you know you get a better job, you're getting paid a little more money. Yeah, sure, go ahead, drop some money on this. But if you're not in cyber, or you're in cyber but you're not making like, you know, a ton of money, then hey, it's $300 annual subscription. That gives you 2 vouchers. Not a bad deal, right? Although they do limit you on what you can access. So if you 100% think you're gonna pass the first time, I would say just buy the voucher. The voucher is $200 for the EJPT. Take this course. It takes about 2-3 months to finish, and you'll save like $60, maybe $50, because you end up spending about $300. You spend $200 for the actual certification exam attempt, and then you'll spend $50, possibly even $100, on your 3-month subscription to INE, so you could finish the 148 hours worth of content. Or since you're gonna be spending $300 anyways, you might as well just buy the fundamental annual and at least get the voucher for free. Have access to their content material, at least fundamental content material, right? Not all of it. Not all of it. That's an issue, right? If I'm spending $300, I want access to all of it. And when I after I paid and I figured that out, I was like, oh man, they got me. They bamboozled me. No, I'm just playing. No, seriously, I really wish they gave us access to everything. If it was everything, I would say do it, hands down. We'll spend $300, but because it's not all the content, like look, they have networking, data science, cybersecurity. So if I go to cybersecurity and I want to do this content, I could only really do the novice stuff, you know, the stuff for noobs. And like, that's not what I want. I want access to the advanced and professional material, right? That's what I really want. This material is going to help me gain the skills I need. So yeah, they're limiting me. They're limiting me to like the noob material, which isn't a bad deal if you're a noob, I guess, but you know, yeah, nah, I don't agree with that. So it is what it is though, you know. In offensive security, everything's so expensive. If you go for your CEH, it's expensive. If you do the OSCP, 10200, it's expensive. If you do the EJPT, it's going to be a little pricey, unless you go CompTIA. But let's be honest, CompTIA isn't very practical, you know. When it comes to the exams, because it's multiple choice. I'm not trying to pick on CompTIA. I like their material. I have a lot of their certifications, but you know, when you're doing multiple choice questions, it's not you know, as practical. They may have some labs, but that doesn't make up the majority of the tests. That's just a few of the questions you're probably gonna get. All right, so here you have this 26-hour post-exploitation. These are wonderful modules. My favorite one was the Metasploit framework, because the Metasploit framework, you don't even realize it comes with it's like that one-stop solution, right? You even have PowerShell Empire, which they teach you a little bit about. also like a one-stop solution for a lot of the stuff that you want to do, right? I want to enumerate that system. I want to exploit it. I want to escalate my privileges, and then I want to exfil data, right? Like the Metasploit framework and PowerShell Empire will give you those tools so you can do exactly that. All right. Then they have this web application penetration testing, which is pretty cool. Let's look at my notes. So look at all these notes, guys. I could keep scrolling for days. No, I'm just playing. No, but you could keep scrolling. You can see like the major modules, the name of it, and then below that, the sub modules, right? And you can keep scrolling. Why don't we go over some of these? Metasploit fundamentals, enumeration. I love that one. For FTP, SMB, MySQL, SSH, SMTP. If you ever see these services on a box, you have a place to start, right? I could start enumerating. I could pull Hydra out. I could start enumerating FTP and start trying to brute force it and all that stuff. I have the skills for that now. I didn't have that before, right? Or if I did, it was very messy and I had to go digging through my notes, and now it's all very organized. You got payload. So if I'm trying to make a payload, I got my notes for that. Automation, Windows exploitation. If I have a Windows box, I'm going to go here. If I have a Linux box, I'm going to go here, right? Post exploitation. Okay, now I'm trying to escalate privileges. Install tools. I got that here. Linux post exploitation. I got that here. Armitage. I learned a little bit about that. I knew a little bit about before, but wow, they teach you way more, right? You really become familiar with Armitage. Banner grabbing. Reverse shells. I love reverse shells because they teach you some tools that you can use to actually get some reverse shells. This isn't just MSF the whole time. They actually introduce you to ways you can exploit boxes without MSF, the manual way. And I have notes on that. Right. Scrolling through. You see more pivoting. Oh, pivoting was a great one, right? Web application testing, introducing you to enumerating subdirectories using Zap, Burp, SQL injection with SQL map. Some of these tools you're not going to be able to use for the OSCP, you have to take that into consideration, But these knowing about them is good because you start to gain an understanding of how to do it. I think for the OSCP it's going to be more manual, so you're not going to have access to a lot of these tools. But if you decide to do like the CH master, I believe you can use any of these tools, which actually, I don't know. All right. So you've completed the 148 hours worth of content. Okay. What next? And if anyone's wondering, how long did it take you to complete this? It took me approximately 3.5 months, but I was also studying for my CISSP, which I passed about a few months ago. So yeah, it took me a while, and I work full time. I have family and everything, so very difficult. But it's something that I was able to do on my weekends. Like I mentioned, play at 2x speed. If you have a big enough screen, have this up on the left, have this up on the right, and just take your notes at the same time. Do your screenshots and try to make it quick as possible. The labs. Oh, I didn't mention the labs. So why don't we go over the labs real quick? This is kind of a review on the course material. Something I didn't get, something I was kind of itching for when I first found out about INE was what does it look like? What's the course material like? What is it? If I'm paying $300, what am I getting, right? That's why you're watching this video, right? Please like and subscribe because I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you that because guess what? I have those same questions. I know what you're thinking. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. What am I going to get out of this? So let me show you. Let's go to the one with 148 hours with the 40 hours worth of content. This one, the longest one. Right. So if I click here, I have to actually, because I finished it. Once you finish it, it kind of hides it, and so I have to unhide it. So this one, it looks like it. If you see like a video icon and then you see a little test icon, those are just videos and tests. The labs probably have one for Nmap. So if you click here, click Start Lab. By the way, all these labs come with a solution. So you click on Solution tab here, click here, and it pops up the solution. This is really nice. You're not going to get this from TryHackMe. TryHackMe is not going to give you a solution. You're going to have to go looking at some shady site. You don't have to do that here. Okay, they give you the whole step-by-step solution. And you know what another great part about this is? I can literally take screenshots of this and put them in my notes. Boom, done. I don't have to write up a whole note, a whole, basically a report. I don't have to do that. They did that for me, which is great. It saves time. I could watch the video, I could take my screenshots. By the time the video's done, I'm done with my screenshots, then I get to move on to the next thing. There's no troubleshooting. There's no me having to go back and manually do it myself. The notes are here. I'm squared away. We're good to go. Okay. All right. So then you start the lab. So you open lab here. You wait for it to load. When you're finished, you mark finished here, and it'll mark the lab finished. Some of them you have capture the flag, so you have to put in a flag. This wasn't one of them. Lab does take about 30 seconds to start up, not gonna lie. But once it starts up, it's good. You have it for about an hour or two, and I noticed, like, by default, after 2 hours, your lab will basically expire. It doesn't tell you there's an expiration time, but I feel it, you know? So this is a target IP, so it gives you the target IP. Some of them don't give you the target IP, so you have to like enumerate for it. Very rarely do you have to do that though. Most of the time they just give it to you. Or they'll say it's one IP address up from your current IP address. So you check your IP address, you do ifconfig, and then you check your IP address, which is this one right here. And you say, okay, this is 10.10.82, 10.10.83 is actually the target, which in this case it's not. So and you'll know, they'll tell you to do that. When you're watching the videos, they'll walk you through it. So those videos actually walk you through the labs. It's not just like, hey, here's a lab. Like, no, the videos, half of it's usually PowerPoints, and then the other half is the lab. So if I go and I do nmap, right, just put in my IP address here. And yeah, you're using an attack box. You don't get to use your own box. That's not something you get to do. Let's try something here. Sometimes I have issues with the cap block, so I have to use shift for my cap block. It's really weird. So I essentially did nmap scan. The first one you seen that it didn't go through, right? It was blocking the pings. So then I did nmap scan dash pin. See, this is something I learned from the course. Dash pin to block the pings. So essentially, you're doing a scan without pinging, and I believe it's just using the TCP/IP like handshake, right? So right here you have your different ports that are open, right? And so you can see I've enumerated these, and you'll learn different switches that you can use to enumerate further. This would be, I believe, oh snaps, I believe that's one of them. No. Might be a little s, v. So it's going to give us a service version. So we're going to be able to not just enumerate the port, but the service as well. This one's a little bit better. I prefer this command here, but it takes a little bit longer to run. Ah, snaps. Okay, here we go. I was scrolling through. You have multiple desktops here, and they give you all the tools you need for the lab, so you don't have to go looking for tools or anything like that. You get everything you need here. So we'll give this a second to load. Just want to show you guys this. And while yes, I do have these notes, do I recommend like people utilize these notes? No, you're gonna have to make your own notes because the way it works is like these notes are tailored to me, right? How much I know. You may not need this level of detail. You may need more detail, right? We're all different and we all need different level of detail when it comes to notes. So notes should always be something that you've made, something that you've perfected and understand, right? So here you can see I get service versions. which is very important. So the whole methodology of penetration testing is to see what targets are out there, what vulnerabilities do those targets have, and the way of finding that out is by finding out which services are available. Like here, HTTP, they're using a HTTPD 2.3 file server. I think this one's Rigetto, right? And so you do a search exploit, you look up the exploit for this version of Rigetto. I believe that one's Rigetto. And then you find a MSF console like exploit for it, and you exploit it, right? Or you do further enumeration. Here you can see this is a Windows machine. So now I know, okay, if I do gain access, I'm going to do Windows enumeration, right? So you're gaining all the details up front so that you can lay out your attack, okay? And I like to think of this like, I mentioned this before, like the military. You know, you find your target, you find your target's weaknesses, and you exploit them, right? It's similar to what you're learning here. So great stuff. I just wanted to do a full walkthrough and do like a basically in-depth review of their material. Okay, I'm gonna stop the lab. When you're done, you have to stop it. And just remember, the solutions are always there. Every single lab, every single one of them has a solution. And the videos also walk you through the solution, which is nice. Is it a lot of hand-holding? Well, you're a noob, so yeah. And I'm a noob, so hey, it is what it is, right? You're learning. So just enjoy learning, because when you get into the OSCP, Pin 200 course material, there's not going to be as much of that. It's going to be a little harder. So here we go. Let me go back over here actually. Let me sign in. See, it's signing me in. Go to learning. Go to cybersecurity. Penetration student. Trusting student. I have to do it every single time. I wish they had a dashboard. I could just click on it. All right. So first step is to watch all the penetration student learning material. 148 hours worth of material. Complete all lab activities. Okay. Which goes with the material. Review the EJPT letter of engagement and lab guidance. All right, let's take a look at it. This is a letter of engagement. And this is the whole purpose of me making the video, actually. I was just going to read this, but I was like, you know, why don't we do a whole review of EJPT's course material since I just finished it. Okay, so I'm going to read this. Letter of engagement, version 1.0. Exam configuration. The EJPT exam environment is an in-browser lab environment that provides you with access to a pre-configured Kali Linux system with all the tools, scripts, and word lists required to successfully answer and complete the questions, challenges associated with the exam. The in-browser lab architecture ensures that you can begin, process, and complete the exam for any device from any location with a stable internet connection and without the need to set up your own virtual machine. The Kali Linux system provided to you during the exam doesn't have internet connection. As a result, you can utilize your host operating system's browser for research. Furthermore, all required exploit modules and exploit codes are available on the Kali Linux system via the Metasploit framework and the exploit database. Note, you do not need to download or install any custom scripts or tools onto the in-browser Kali Linux system you have been provided access to. The Kali Linux system has everything you need to successfully complete the exam. Scope of engagement. You have been hired to perform an on-site black box penetration test against the host, web host, and networks of an organization named Syntax Dynamic. This is what the client organization has defined as the scope of the test. The DMZ network you will be connected to. Any other internal network you will be able to reach/access. When you first initialize your exam lab environment, you will automatically be connected to the DMZ network. This network contains production servers and web applications that you can potentially gain access via brute force attacks and via the exploitation of misconfiguration or vulnerabilities. You're also required to identify any internal network, pivot into them, identify hosts within these networks, and gain access to the systems. Please note that the following diagram is a guide and does not reflect the actual exam network configuration. So you have the DMZ network, exploit, I don't know, what is it, like a public-facing web server, and then from there you'll pivot into the internal network and internal web servers. From the DMZ network, it is possible to reach some other internal networks. All the networks are /24. You have to find the routing information and the network address by identifying a pivot point that interconnects the two networks. A Kali Linux system contains all of the directories of common username and passwords should you have to perform a brute force attack. Okay. Cool. Exam objectives. Please note that you are required to perform the penetration test on all hosts in scope. The question in the test area will cover most of the EJPT findings. You can freely choose how and what order you want to answer the questions during the penetration test. Keep in mind that both the quiz area and the exam lab environment are accessible simultaneously for an entire period of 48 hours. Recommend tools. You are free to use any environment to perform the penetration test. The following is a suggested list of tools that might be useful during the exam. Nmap, which we covered in the exam. Derb, Nikto, covered in the exam. WP scan. I don't remember that one actually being covered in. Let me check. WP scan. No, apparently they did. Click here. WP scan. WP scan. WordPress scan. Is that what that is? I think that is. The WordPress. Huh. WP scan. I don't remember WP scan. I know that's WordPress. Let me just type WordPress in here. Sorry guys, I'm just kind of going through this right. Oh, here we go. Here's okay. I remember just using a module within Metasploit to do something like that. I do remember doing something like that. I just, yeah. CrackMap exec. I think I remember using that. CrackMap exec. I think WP scan, it's kind of like Nikto, except it's only for WordPress, right? If I'm not mistaken. Let me look at some images of this. Oh, yeah, I do remember this. So yeah, it's like Nikto, so it looks like this. And it's a WordPress scanner. Yeah, I think I remember that. CrackMap exec. Let me see if I have that in my notes. I don't want to jump into this exam, not knowing this stuff. And none of this stuff I'm telling you is like proprietary, you know. This is everything that's on their websites. Here we go. Ooh, patch the hash, CrackMap. Wow, OneNote's pretty cool. It was actually to find CrackMap exec from a picture that I took, right? It actually highlighted that. That's really cool. So use OneNote, guys. It could even analyze your pictures, and I was trying to search for it in my notes. This is why you use OneNote. It's the best. All right. So yeah, it looks like I do have some stuff on CrackMap Exact. Using it for. Did I actually use it though? Looks like I did a hash dump. Looks like I just did hash dumps. I don't. Oh, for Pash the Hash. I used this within TMC's course. Yeah, see, I was able to Pash the Hash with it. Okay, cool. Just trying to make sure I have some notes on that. TMC's course is pretty good too. Recommend doing that before you do EJPT. That's because that's what I did, but it's cheaper. I mean, they got that going for them. It's not as structured, it's not as streamlined, it's not as nice premium content as what you're gonna get with INE, but it's up there. It's good. It's good content. Absolutely. The Metasploit framework, oh gosh, you can just see they went over that for about what was that, like 28 hours worth of or 40 hours, something like that worth of MSF material. Search exploit, yes. Search exploit was something we use in almost every module. I love search exploit. It's great. Hydra for brute forcing. Yes, definitely used it. So I could say that we used all these tools, although I don't remember using WordPress scan too much. Please note all of the aforementioned tools come pre-installed on Kali Linux system provided to you. Yeah, all these tools are pre-installed, and you could use locate. So you can type locate and then space whatever you're trying to locate. So if it's a flag, you can locate that. Locate is my favorite command on Linux because if I don't know where something is, I always use it to get me to the executable that I'm looking for. All right, hints for a successful penetration test. Do not think about the exam as a captured flag. It is not. And yeah, I could understand it's not. You're pivoting. Your whole job is to like enumerate, pivot, enumerate, pivot, enumerate, pivot. I don't know if they're going to require me to gain system privileges. Maybe so. I don't know. I haven't taken an exam. Refer to the lab guidance document provided to you along with this document for information on how the in-browser lab works. The in-browser lab works the same as the labs in INE's course material. It's the same. So it's not going to be a surprise if you've done the course material. Take notes and save your findings on an external taking application on your host operating system. This is because any data that is stored in the Kali Linux system will be deleted if you reset the lab environment. And I've heard this before. Take really good notes, like step by step, painfully step by step notes. And I plan to do that on my OneNote because it does reset. They say it resets randomly. They say sometimes if you leave it, you're not using it. Like I mentioned, like if you don't use it for like 2 hours or even an hour, it just resets on its own. And you won't even know until you go to the browser and everything's frozen. Nothing moves. You're like, okay, I just have to refresh. And you'll lose everything. Absolutely. So another great idea is to answer the questions while you proceed with your penetration test. Carefully read the question, then perform your test in the lab. Any attack tools or techniques according to rules of engagement is allowed during the exam. Okay. So the nice part about this is I think you can go back, right? You can answer a question, you can say, I don't know if that's the right answer. You go back, right? So that's a good thing. I don't know if you could re-answer them. I haven't taken it yet. I'm gonna figure that out in a little bit. It's my day off today, so I want to figure this out. Review the EJPT objectives and domains and grading criteria on our website. So let's take a look at the grading criteria because they kind of bamboozle you with the whole you don't really need you only need 70%, right? So looks like the voucher is $249. Huh. For your current get the premium testing skills you need. All right, I already have that. They say it meets NIST standards, but it's not an 8570 certification, but it's still something you can put on your resume, and it's a milestone. It's a step towards your OSCP in my mind, right? It's better than nothing. So let's read through this because this is where they bamboozle people. All right. And if no one knows what bamboozle mean, it's there's this this like what is it called? Like podcast. It's a radio show, and they'll call people and they'll do pranks on them. At the end, they'll be like, "You've been bamboozled," you know. Essentially, you've been pranked. You've been misled to think something, right? And that's the term. So anyhow, the E-Learn Security Junior Penetration Tester certification is designed to test your understanding and novice level penetration testing tasks, as well as your ability to execute them. The EJPT goes beyond simply recall and challenges you solve the real-world problems that you will experience in the field through our interactive exam and in-browser-based lab environment. The EJPT is designed to be a hands-on, open book, entry-level penetration testing certification that emphasizes the use of skills. Our exam is methodologically providing you with the practical knowledge and context, reducing your reliance on specific tools. And that's true. Like I mentioned, they have a lot of SF stuff in there, but they also teach you how to do it manually. Literally, you'll learn how to do it with MSF. You'll learn how to do it manually. Okay. The EJPT exam consists of 35 questions pertaining to the assessment methodology, host and network penetration testing, host and network auditing, and web application and penetration testing. You will have 48 hours to complete the exam. All exam questions are based on your observations in the test lab environment and include dynamic and static flag injections in order to pass the exam. You must receive an overall score of at least 70%. And this is where they bamboozle you, because it's actually, if you take a look here, it's 80% on this one specific domain. So like other exams, I know the CISSP did this, I know the CCNA did this. You have to pass every single domain with a certain percentage or you fail the overall exam. So the overall exam, you need 70%. Now, if you actually, we'll read through this, but there's percentages for every single one of these domains, right? And if you don't meet that percentage for that specific domain, so this one's 90% for this specific domain, you will fail the exam. Okay, that's it. Domain 1, assessment methodologies, you must score 90%. If you score 70%, you're done, you fail, you pack your bags, and you go home. No, I'm just playing. This is not the military. So yeah, that's what it's like, but well, you don't pack your bags. You just have to pay I need more money. Just donate some money to them, you know? Anyhow. And must meet predetermined minimum score requirements in each domain section. Each domain minimum score is listed in the domain description to the right. We highly recommend taking advantage of the practice lab opportunities and the penetration testing students learning pathway to hone your skills before taking our exam. All right, and let's read through the domains. So assessment methodology, domain 1. Students will be tested on the on various ways of penetration testing elements, including locating endpoints on the network, identifying open ports and services on a target, extracting company information from the public source, and more. In addition, your abilities to gather email information, public source, identify vulnerabilities in services, and evaluate information and criteria or impact of vulnerabilities will be assessed. You must score at least 80% of the assessment methodology questions correctly on this exam to pass the EJPT. And at the end of this test, you get your answers automatically, from what I hear. Okay, so that's nice. It's not like other exams. You know, I think the OSAP, they make you wait like 3 days or something like that, like a week. I'd just be in limbo for a week. I can't do that. Yeah, I need a test right. I need results right away. I need to know if I passed or not, right? All right. So web application penetration testing. To help build strong web application, this is domain 2. Testing knowledge, students will be taught and tested on critical concepts, including how to identify vulnerabilities and web apps, locate hidden files and directories, exploit web application vulnerabilities, cross-site scripting, and SQL injections. They will also be tested on their ability to enumerate HTTP methods on site, conduct the brute force, log on, attack, and perform web apps. So I could understand enumeration, and it says they will be tested on this, right? But you'll learn these concepts, which is SQL injection, which I'm good. I'm happy with because, oh, actually, it says you'll be taught and tested on critical concepts. SQL injection, I kind of had some issues with. Like, I'm gonna use SQL map, but yeah, because you have to know the syntax, right? But as soon as you start digging into the table, from what it sounds like, you just keep figuring out, okay, so you found out the table, now you found out the columns, now you found out the rows, now you found out the data. Like, okay, that makes sense. But it can be difficult, you know? You must perform 60% on the web application penetration testing. So, okay, that's probably my weakest part right there, just the web application penetration testing. But I just use the notes they gave me, and if I'm literally using the notes and I'm going through my whole web app penetration testing section, and I can't figure it out, that's gonna be an issue. So. All right. So domain 3, host and networking penetration testing. Students will be assessed on their ability to identify vulnerabilities on target systems, identify and modify exploit code, conduct exploitation with exploit, perform pivoting via port forwarding, and conduct brute force password attacks and hash cracking. You must score at least 70% of the host and network penetration testing questions correctly on the exam to pass the EJPT. And this I feel like should be 90% because this is like not most of the stuff we've learned. I say that, but I'm probably gonna knock on wood. I'm gonna pass the exam. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna fail it. I think I'll pass it. Host and network auditing. As part of the EJP certification, students will be tested on the ability to enumerate the network and service information for files on the target, gather user account information on the target, in addition to dumping user account hashes from the target system. You must score at least 80% of the host and networking auditing questions correctly on this exam to pass the EJPT. And that's 80%, right? So that's not 70%, like you mentioned. So I've heard overall, because this one, some of these domains are weighted high, more than others. Like this one's 90% for assessment methodology. Web application is 60%. So I think they understand a lot of people probably not very strong with web applications. Host and network penetration testing. This one's 70% and this one's 80%. So overall, I think it's actually 82%, right? So I've heard somebody do the math for this and they said it's not 70%, it's actually 82% is what you overall need to get in order to pass this because of the different weighted domains, but they're weighted differently, so it just depends. And I've heard some people who have like OSEP failing this exam because the weighted areas, like, this one we have to score like, was it 90%? Yeah. And they basically like missed a question and they failed it. That's crazy. Yeah, I'm gonna give this 2 goes, and if I can't get it, I'm gonna go and just do another. I'm just gonna do something else. I'm not gonna donate that much money to them. It's like, I just rather just enroll in the OSCP at that point to just say, okay, well, I guess I'll just start off with the Pen 100, and then pass the Pen 100 and then go with the Pen 200 or something. I don't know. I've heard, their Pen 100 and 200 courses have gotten much better. Definitely want to check it out. So that's all I have to say about that, guys. Go ahead and move over here. We read the letter of engagement. We've gone over their grading criteria. Scroll down. Do they have anything else? They just compare this to the Pen Plus, which I think this is harder than the Pen Plus. I haven't taken the Pen Plus. It's only a certificate I haven't taken for CompTIA because I didn't want to take it yet. I'm actually strategically going to take that later so I can renew my other certifications. And the average salary. Let's check out the average salary. What? Oh, okay. For CCIE is 150. What's the average salary for EJPT? It's probably not on here. Honestly, no one's really looking for this, right? I could go in Indeed right now and no one's looking for this certification. Like I said, this is a milestone. And if you can tell, I don't know, maybe you could tell like a recruiter that you're working on this and that you spent 148 hours doing labs in preparation for a simulated penetration test with the letters of engagement, and how you're able to um, do this simulated penetration tests in a kind of real world environment with the DMZ, which you have to pivot into an internal network and gain access, um, just like you would do on an actual penetration test. They may hear that and say, "Well, okay, this guy has some knowledge. Uh, you know, he's done his due diligence and like trying to learn on his own." And they may find that to be a good thing, right? I think it's a great thing. All right. So let's go back, because once you buy the voucher, the way the voucher works is you purchase it from INE. It's the only voucher where you actually purchase it from the INE. The other vouchers you purchase from, um, so right here, you can purchase it. I repurchased it so I could just start my exam at any point in time. Um, and it kind of just tells you this. Let's read the rest of this actually. So ensure that you are comfortable in a quiet location with a stable internet connection where you will not be interrupted or for the duration of the exam. Okay, so let me just text everybody I know and tell them that I am taking an exam and to not text me unless something really, really bad is happening. That sounds horrible, right? I'm just like, just locking myself up in a room right now. Just, hey guys, stop talking to me. All right. Hmm. Wow. Okay, so I'm looking at my messages and it looks like it's like nobody cares about me. All right, cool. We're ready to take this exam then. Check on your INE account. Time name aligns with what would be displayed on your certificate. All right, so I have my INE accounts set up. Past EJPT. All right. Voucher code, and it's good for a year, I think. All right, so I could. It actually expires by the end of this year. And of course, I have my attempts here. And then they recommend that you do this next, which I've heard by John Hammond that this one's actually a really good one, the penetration testing professional. It's actually harder in his words than the OSEP. But personally, I don't want to spend the $700 on this. I'd rather spend $700 going towards my $2,000, $200 cost of the course, which is if everyone's asking, well, it's 240, 200, no, it's $2,400. Well, no, there's actually this girl. She did a YouTube video, and she offered a discount code for the OSCP. So I thought that was kind of cool. That's why I want to purchase it. Use a discount code. All right, guys. I'm just trying to make this video longer so I don't have to take the exam, but I have to click this button here. And when I click this button, you guys can't be here. I need you guys to go away. All right, but I'll let you guys know how it goes afterwards, whether or not I pass or fail. Anyhow, I hope you guys enjoy this video. I'm gonna go enjoy the last moments before I take this exam. All right, have a good day. Danny out.